And tough talk from the man President-elect Donald Trump has picked as border czar. Tom Homan was here in Chicago, and Homan says the president-elect tapped him to run the biggest deportation operation the country has ever seen. He says he'll begin that process in Chicago after Trump's inauguration.
We're going to start right here in Chicago, Illinois. If your Chicago mayor doesn't want to have it, keep yourself aside. But if he impedes us, if he knowingly harbors and conceals an illegal alien, I will prosecute him.
Homan made those comments last night at Biagio's Banquets in Portage Park during a holiday party hosted by a local law enforcement PAC and the Northwest Side GOP Club. Joining us now live to talk more about President-elect Trump's immigration agenda is Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, representing Illinois' 3rd District. Congresswoman Ramirez, thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You may have just heard the man Trump picked to be his so-called border czar say he's going to start with mass deportations right here in Chicago. And he added if Mayor Johnson tries to interfere, he'll prosecute him. What are your thoughts on those statements?
You know, when you said Biagio Banquets, I realized he was just around the corner in my district. I mean, look, what he's saying is stoking the same kind of fear that I have been seeing in the Homeland Security for the last 2 years. Of course, they're going to try to target communities that understand, like Chicago, that immigrants have contributed to our economy. Immigrants have made it stronger. But let me just be very, very clear. He also doesn't understand that it is immigrants from the early 1900s or even now, Italian American, Guatemalan American, or Mexican that have made the fiber of this country, and that people like the mayor and certainly the governor and I are prepared to fight and even our bodies on the line to ensure that we protect our communities and we protect the city and state we love.
Along those lines, in the eyes of Congress, though, does being a sanctuary city and state afford undocumented residents any federal protection? You talk about using your bodies, but what could all of this look like if Homan really does direct mass deportations to begin right here in Chicago?
Well, certainly, look, there's a sanctuary city status, which is a specific status in Chicago and some other parts of the state of Illinois. And then there's legislation that the state has already passed that indicates that in the jurisdiction that we have, ICE is not to work directly with local police in order to target immigrant families. We're going to use every single tool in our toolbox. And a number of us are already having conversations with former DHS directors, with the secretary himself, currently the current secretary, to ensure that we are doing everything we can to use every state and city power to protect our communities from what will come from the federal government and Tom Homan. Certainly there's some uncertainties of what is and what isn't, because Donald Trump doesn't care about the Constitution. Donald Trump doesn't care about home rule or state to state, only when it's convenient to him. But if he's gonna keep saying, leave it to the states, in the state of Illinois, we protect our immigrant communities. We recognize the economy that they create, and we're going to ensure that we do everything we can to protect them.
Well, he does care. The president-elect does care when it comes to abortion, but just not on the immigration issue, potentially.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's convenient. There's convenient state-by-state choices for him.
Let me, speaking of Trump, he said over the weekend that he wants to deport American citizens who were born here but have undocumented parents. Speaking of the constitutionality of this, is that constitutional? Could he do that? And if he tries, how do you think Congress would react?
Birthrights, U.S. citizenship, is absolutely constitutional, therefore unconstitutional. I'd argue and say it is un-American. You know, he's talking about since day one, he is going to be able to exert now this new executive order he will issue. There's no executive order to take United States citizens' citizenship away from them. You can certainly go to the Supreme Court, and we're clear, he has stacked the Supreme Court in his favor. But even then, if he wanted to go to Congress, there's no way by the 1 vote margin he can pass this. And secondly, it's a constitutional amendment. If he tried to do it through Congress, that would mean 2/3 of Congress would have to vote for it. He would never have the votes. So it's unconstitutional, but it shows you he comes after the immigrants. Then he's going to go after the legal permanent residents, the one he says do it the legal way. And then he's going after service members, doctors, business owners, and even members of Congress. It shows you who he believes is American and who isn't, and it's absolutely unconstitutional.
It is going to be interesting, though, considering there is a Republican majority in Congress, Congresswoman, and, you know, he did win the popular vote on issues like this one, so I'm sure January, February, March is going to be really interesting on Capitol Hill, and we hope to have you back to talk more about what does get underway once this new administration enters office. So we hope you'll join us. Okay, thank you so much, Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, Illinois' 3rd District. Once again, thanks for your time this morning.